My name is Bola Jibodi. I'm 43 years old. I'm married. I'm blessed with two beautiful daughters. And I was diagnosed with sickle cell as early as 10 months old.
Blood on the leaves. Breeze. Breeze. Blood on the leaves.
ACLT is the African Caribbean Leukemia Trust. As an organization, we've been going 28 years this June, and started from a personal need. My stepson, Daniel DeGale, in spring of 1993 was finally diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, a blood cancer, after a lot of misdiagnosis along the way. And he immediately was put on 2 years of chemotherapy treatment along with many blood transfusions in the hope that he would go into remission and then get back to a normal life.
I'm Juliet Iswan, and I have sickle cell anemia, as in sickle cell plus. I'm really like acute sickle cell. So I tend to spend a lot of time in hospital and quite very little time at home. But yeah, that's my day-to-day. That's my life. And I gotten used to it.
I know what it's like to have a friend in need of blood, an exchange, because she lives with sickle cell and she had a crisis and she needed a blood exchange. And I remember going from visiting her to hospital to seeing her at home, and the difference. And it's something in the eyes when people have been saved. And that's the word I want to use. They've been saved by somebody else's altruism, somebody's kindness. Their eyes change.
Me personally, there is no medication that can help me. Even some of the new treatments, I wouldn't be eligible. I have too much damage done to my body. The thing that I rely on to keep me here talking to you, which is blood, is also destroying my body. I have iron overload. The amount of iron or ferritin that a normal person has in their body is between 50 and 300 milliliters per unit. Mine is currently at 7,500.
About 9.5 years later, things started to go in a negative way, where we started to see that he was having some external problems to do with his health. We believe linked to the fact that it took 6 long years before Daniel finally received Doreen's donated cells. Anyone having that much treatment, especially chemotherapy, multiple blood transfusions, there is a catch-up. And the physicians said they didn't know what that effect would be long-term. But that long wait actually created a problem for Daniel, where he was needing 3 to 5 units of blood transfusions every week to keep living, because his hemoglobin levels were dropping like a stone, down to 2 to 3.
I'm attached to a pump most days, in fact usually every day, but I can't take it today because the site that I have to stick a needle in my stomach is too sore. Eventually it will cause a heart attack, heart failure, organ failure, and that's just one of the prices you pay. There is no medication that I know of yet that can help someone like me, but I do know of medication that can help lots of other people. I get up every single day. Every day, my first and last thought is, how can I make people's lives better?
Well, one of the managements for sickle cell is 1, blood transfusion or exchange transfusion. And these need to have a lot of blood from our community, because people fail to realize that blood is not like sugar or like salt. It has one makeup. Every individual's blood is made up of whatever they have eaten, where they live, and give special little different aspects to it, and that is why we need to cross match blood to make sure it matches that other person.
I do get regular blood exchanges, as for me, mine are every 6 weeks. And this all began in December 2009. Because what happened in December 2009 is I got a stroke. And the night of my stroke, they had to do a manual blood exchange, because at that time, all the blood exchange machines were kept in Southmead. And I was in BRI Oncology. So from then, I was prescribed red cell exchange. And what a red cell exchange is that they remove the sickle cell, because our cells are sickle. They're not normal, like an egg, oval. So ours are sickle, and that's why they struggle to move around in our body, and hence the crisis.
The difference between a blood exchange, which is often referred to as the exchange blood transfusion, EBT, and the normal transfusion is that with the normal transfusion, it's like a top-up. So your blood is already sickled. They refer to it as S level. The reason why sickle cell people with sickle cell disorder have crisis is because most of the blood in their system have gone sickle. So a sickle cell patient could have 80% of their blood sickled, 70%, the S level is called. Transfusion, which is like a top-up, they are adding healthy red blood cells onto most sickled red blood cells that is in a sickle cell patient's blood. So that's the thing about transfusion. Anybody can get transfusion. If you're anemic, they'll give you transfusion. If you are having crisis, they'll probably give you transfusion. But it's almost like a top-up. The difference between transfusion and EBT, exchange blood transfusion, is EBT, they would remove a certain amount of the sickled red blood cell from your system and replace it with the healthy red blood cells from donors.
When you receive blood on a one-off basis, that's okay. I give blood. I've done it 57 times. I'm going to do my 58th very soon. My O positive can go to anyone for a one-off occasion. That's fine. And race doesn't really matter. But when you need it on a regular basis, like sickle cell patients, or like in the case of Daniel, you need that source coming from the same people.
So that is why when we are campaigning, we're asking our communities to come out and give blood, because if our service users, patients receive blood over a number of times and it doesn't match exactly, they develop antibodies. And when they develop antibodies, it reduces their ability to get more blood.
And that was what was happening with Daniel. His blood profile was changing every week. And in the end, it caught up with him. And he passed away at the age of 21 to multiple organ failure on the 8th of October 2008.
The treatments that are available and some of the new ways of making people like me, our lives easier, is genotype testing of the blood. So there is a process which has been developed by NHS Blood and Transplant, who I also work for, and in partnership with many others. And the aim of it is to genotype the blood of every sickle cell and thalassemia patient in this country, and then to genotype the blood of every donor in this country. And it's genotyping the blood, which is a big difference, because people hear DNA genotyping, they immediately think that we're collecting people's DNA and we're going to do something nefarious with it. It's not that at all. I've done it. It's genotyping the blood. Because like I said at the beginning, every time I have to have blood, and I mean every single time, my next exchange is next Thursday, I have to have a test beforehand to find out what antibodies are in my blood and all the other things. And it has to be a near perfect match. And that gets harder the more blood I have. And it gets harder depending on the source of that blood.
The most important thing, especially for me, is blood from black people. Please, please, all those who are from my race, give your blood because it saves our lives. And why it's so is because I get loads of blood exchanges, transfusions, and things like that. You get what is called antibodies. So they have to match your blood to a T. And someone from the same race is the highest probability of getting the right blood.
Blood is life. Blood is life for any one of us. The way we jump up, the way we go about, is because of the life of the blood. Without the blood, I don't know what we'll all be doing here. People with sickle cell disorder, I lived in Nigeria, I'm in the UK. I think the most effective treatment for us is through blood transfusion until many other things come in.
Now the genotyping will mean that they'll be able to genotype match your blood to an almost perfect match to a donor. So the recipient and the donor will be a perfect genetically typed match. So the odds on someone having a reaction is negligible.
So we need from our communities to give life. Blood is life, and look at it as a gift and not as a burden or as something that is hassling us.
Blood is life. Blood is life. That's why that's one of the reasons why I joined the Sickle Cell Society in 2018 to raise awareness about blood donation. Only if you need blood is when you know how important this is. And it's important that the blood is the right one for the recipient.
How often do I get bloods from someone from my race? It's not easy because I know that there was a time when they had to fly to Oxford just for me, to get bloods for me. There was a time when they had to wait for bloods from London. But nowadays what do we do? Before I go in for the exchange, I have a cross match like 2 days before. So the blood bank is given 48 hours to make sure they match my bloods. So by the time I go in for the exchange, after the 48 hours, they have all the right bloods. And I really thank God for that.
In 2017, I was close to dying, and I had an acute chest syndrome, pneumonia. I've had pneumonia several times. If you have sickle cell disease, it's not a good thing to be having pneumonias all the time. So that episode which I had, I was almost dying. I had crisis for 2 weeks in my chest. They actually transfused me severally. It didn't work. It didn't work because the transfusion was like a top up. It was a blood being added on top of what was already there. I remember being in the ICU and my consultant did say, Bola, we've tried everything. Your sickle cell crisis doesn't get this bad. I was in the ICU and she told me, we're going to try one more thing. We're going to exchange you. We're going to give you exchange transfusion. My goodness, within 1 hour of exchange blood transfusion, it was like a magic. I can remember very well. 2 weeks of pain disappeared within an hour. And what they did was, they exchanged my blood. They removed about 6 bags of my red blood cells, all the red blood cells that are sickled, and they replaced it with a healthy red blood cell. from donors. And that was a beginning of a new journey for my life. Since 2017, I haven't been admitted for crisis.
When you give blood, your body regenerates it. So it's even making you healthier in some instances because you've given yourself a new lease to create new blood cells. And your blood cells do die after 120 days. So why not take it out, give it to someone to use, and make more in yourself? So that is what I would like to say, that we can be giving life to another person by giving blood.
Blood on the leaves.